Okay. Hello, I'm Kate.
And I'm Lorna.
We are two members of Frame Wales, which is a photography collective uh, based in southeast of Wales. Um, but we are all about promoting and amplifying voices in photography that are underrepresented, but also just kind of giving people a space and a platform to talk about the photography that they are interested in and that they value and that they want to share and talk about. We are just going to have a little bit of a chat today to introduce ourselves and to also talk about some of the things that we've got coming up, and also to talk about some of the funding that we received from Arts Council Wales last year, the as part of their Sharing Together fund. We just want to kind of introduce ourselves a bit and just kind of show that what Frame's about. And one of those points is definitely it's about the focus is about people within photography, not necessarily perfection, but just accepting people for who they are and valuing what they have to say.
Yeah, and generally just making sure that everyone feels that they can participate within the photography industry
Yeah,
as well.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think I mean there's various reasons why we came together as Frame and as a collective, and hopefully we'll be able to maybe get a chat with Celia and Lisa more about that. But uh, especially now during COVID, um, all these boundaries and certainly, sorry, not boundaries, barriers, um,
Yeah.
have really just come to the fore, really. And I think at a time when people maybe feel a bit um, isolated or maybe alienated from each other, kind of actually creating opportunities and also holding that space for people to take part in these conversations seems ever more important. You've been speaking to some people already with regards to this, haven't you?
Yeah, I caught up with Charlotte from Arts Grangetown. They had a lot of plans to bring arts into the community, but obviously COVID has kind of impacted that. So a lot of things have been pushed back.
Yeah.
So they're now kind of engaging in some online projects, as I understand it, but it's more so behind the scenes stuff, getting to work. I also caught up with Trevor Palmer from Responsible Assistance and how he's been advocating for people who are hard of hearing during COVID. And he's been making masks designed to help people who do struggle with hearing so they can lip read because the masks are clear paneled at the front.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a really cool. It was a really cool talk. So I'm looking forward to really like getting that out there and written up. So yeah, it's kind of amazing to see how, despite the boundaries, a lot of people have actually been pushing through. You know, it's if there's a sense of togetherness, I guess, about it,
Yeah.
especially in the arts, because I feel we struggle anyway, generally as an industry. I think to be seen on the same level as some other industries. So I think even now it feels a little bit more pressured to make sure it's all getting out there.
Yeah.
And, I think people are really pushing. You know, it's quite nice, really weirdly.
Um, I feel empathetic. Empathetic?
Yeah.
Empathetic. Not grammatically correct, but we are very, feeling of others people's and
Really.
very compassionate. um, but yeah, just aware of other people's challenges, but also their boundaries, and also, just um, how people were much more able to kind of talk about the kind of the struggles and um, issues I think that we face on a day-to-day basis, but also much more willing to kind of collaborate and try and improve things.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's definitely not easy, and definitely I think within a Frame internally we've had our own struggles and our own kind of challenges over COVID, which has obviously impacted on what we do and what we're able to bring to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem yeah, that we can work with each other and try and improve things for many people, not just ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because obviously this is not the way that anyone would normally work, you know.
No.
But I feel like our communication's actually been quite good because we've pushed through on to get those Zoom meetings. You know, sometimes it can be difficult to get everyone out to one place for a meeting.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's opened that up a little bit, I think.
Our aims is definitely to make things as open and transparent as possible,
Yeah.
but giving people the opportunity to engage and um, be part of what's going on, really inviting people in to share their stories is such an integral part of the arts. And if we can extend this further, it's the way, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's so many ways we can do it as well. Like the Instagram takeovers have been a really good example of
Yeah,
that. You
yeah,
know, it's a very easy way for someone who's not quite sure of themselves, perhaps, even if you are, you know, if you're established and comfortable, go for it. But it's also nice, you know, to know that if it's your first time or, you know, you're not used to sharing, you know, you're absolutely more than welcome to.
yeah,
Just for that experience of it, it can be quite rewarding,
yeah.
really, having that feedback on your work
And
and
that's it. Then actually, some of the points of feedback that people have already given, taken or have already given already, has been that they've had work that they've done and they've not really been sure what to do with it because they haven't
yeah,
necessarily felt able to share it or know felt able to access the opportunities to do that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a very informal, very I suppose democratic way of just saying, look, share and share alike.
Yeah, I
Because you,
think what I like about us now as well is we're not like super massive, but we're starting and we've got our little community. It's starting to come together. We're getting, you know, some comments now and stuff. People are engaging, so I think it's quite a comfortable place to be for someone who's not
yeah,
certain, like you know, completely confident in.
we create a space where it's okay to make mistakes, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Um,
definitely. Yeah, development is just another thing in
yeah,
the goal really, because yeah, it's life.
that's like, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Because you've done a takeover as well, haven't you, recently?
I did one at more so our beginning when we had our first exhibition.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did my burlesque work. That was quite nice. It was good to have it out on a platform that wasn't mine, you know.
yeah.
It's good to open it up to maybe another audience and stuff. It was quite well received. It was quite nice.
I
Yeah.
don't know about you. I find it quite difficult sometimes to actually understand work that I've made until I've actually shared it or
Yeah,
shown it with someone else. Do
yeah,
you?
definitely. No, 100%. I mean, I had this experience only like the other week. Because obviously I've been off my master's degree for a year because of COVID. We sort of just interrupted the studies, and I've been working on the project just kind of on my own.
Yeah,
And then obviously you bring it into then that first seminar, and you get all this feedback, and you're like, oh, so yeah, no, definitely can appreciate that one. Yeah, you just don't know fully until you receive that kind of feedback because well, you're biased, I guess, looking at your
do
own.
you know what I mean? It's that outside perspective where someone actually says, "Oh, that reminds me of
Yeah,
this," or "Have you thought of that photographer?" Or even talking about maybe the size of the work,
yeah,
whether just the physicality of it has such an important impact that I don't want to sound all kind of um, over academic about it, but it does. It's such an immediate response. A physical response to art is just as important as the kind of the voice and subjectivity of it. But you can't really have one without the other. And encouraging any person, to have that opportunity, or even creating that opportunity for them, is actually quite difficult at the moment. And it was already, I think, difficult beforehand. Um, and that's one of the reasons why Frame came together in the first place, isn't it?
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. We all kind of felt a certain way, you know, we kind of felt we wanted somewhere, I guess a safe space is it's a bit cheesy, but I think that's the truth. You know, somewhere you could develop comfortably, I think.
And I think I would say like a safe space. I think one of the things that's come out through the conversations that we've had is about almost like with the arts, and certainly opportunities with the arts. There's an element of competitiveness with there,
Mm.
and not in terms, and definitely because of how competitive and challenging can be. It can be very off-putting
Yeah.
for people to feel, to have that space. So yeah.
I think just that space to be able to like ask questions as well. You know, like where you might feel a bit uncomfortable normally, you don't want to ask because it might make you feel a bit stupid. It's quite nice to have somewhere where you could ask those questions that you
Yeah.
feel like you should know the answer to, but you just haven't yet, you know?
I think it is amazing that and that there are many networks, there are many collectives, there are many events, and there are many
Mm.
organisations are that come together because of a shared passion and a shared creativity. But there's sometimes they operate at a set level or for a set kind of a target audience, I think. And I think having the flexibility to be responsive to everyone, I say everyone,
Yeah.
um, certainly by people who want to engage and be led by a conversation rather than kind of like a policy is quite important.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
No, yeah, I totally 100% agree with that.
Well, we've mentioned the challenges that COVID has had to us kind of creatively as
Yeah.
individuals and as a network. But even then, I was having a chat with my husband not this evening because that's in the future, Kate, last night about he's a musician,
Oh,
and obviously he's worried a lot about um, live music and gigs and sharing music and being able to play and experiment and be with friends in rooms and spaces, which obviously we can't do at the moment. But certainly within the arts and certainly visual arts, I'd say now there are campaigns afoot that are talking about how important having spaces to for people to come together to share art, discuss ideas, exchange knowledge, but also just at that in terms of professional practice, but also as a community,
yeah.
and realizing that actually there's space for all of that, um, and at many different levels, and not being prescriptive or prohibitive about which level people engage on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
so definitely that's quite an important issue at the moment, which I think won't be quickly resolved. But certainly maintaining this presence and this profile, and again, throwing out these opportunities to as many people as possible to keep everyone engaged and passionate and excited, will be quite important over the next few. Well, I would say few months. It could be even be years at
Yeah.
this rate, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not looking like, I think there's going to be a lot of like the new normal as well, you know, the stuff will come back, but obviously the arts, the gigs, anything like that, that's going to be last. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's,
Yeah. Sadly, I think, yeah. But I think it's going to be last. Uh, I
anyway,
disagree in the sense I think it should be first,
no,
actually.
it should be, yeah, because not even, it's just so important. I think only now people maybe realize as well. I don't know if it's exposed that a bit, COVID, but mental health wise, you know, it just, I think it should be first, but safety, I don't know.
I mean, well, I say safety first. Safety first, yes, but
Yeah,
equally health and well-being.
yeah,
There's so
totally.
many benefits, aren't there, in terms of the arts
Yeah,
and even just in terms of people being able to express themselves and explore ideas,
Yeah.
and creating a safe space, exactly as you're saying, to do that, and a network to achieve that is imperative. So yeah, that's so where are we going with this next, I guess,
Yeah, I think
is the next one, isn't it?
what did we? Yeah.
So in terms of the Sharing Together grant that we got from Arts Council of Wales last year, which is talking about about creating opportunities and monthly events that give an opportunity for people to talk about their work, but also connect with other people interested and passionate about photography, but equally talking about profiling groups within the arts that can do stuff. No, yeah, just profiles.
I get you. I just can't think of the words either.
Like
Chill.
linking to other networks and organisations and promoting what they're doing and how we can support each other, and also just profiling who's there and what they're doing, really. So yeah, I think that's the first step, but also linking in with other groups, professionals.
Definitely. Yeah.
This,
Sharing together, you know, finding out what they're doing, how we could perhaps collaborate would be nice.
yeah.
Yeah, it's as simple as just growing and sharing together, isn't it?
Mm.
Which is good.
I think in terms of breaking that fourth wall again, which we joked about earlier, but you know, again, going back to this whole ethos within Phrame of that it's about people. Phrame is about people and well, people and photography, but you know, bringing them together. That one isn't one doesn't have more value than the other. But about making the process as open and as transparent as possible to other people, and to try and remove some of the mysticism around it. Apologies to people following this if this comes across as a little bit scatty and uncoordinated, but it's real life, and we hope that
Just a chat.
sorry,
It's just a chat.
it's just a chat, and yeah, we're hoping that it is an incentive for people to join us, and also yeah, get involved and you know, connect with us as well. We'll be having developing a program and a series of talks and in conversations with people ourselves, but if anyone wanted to connect with us and use Phrame as a platform to share that conversation, you're more than welcome to get in touch, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And that can be an organization, a photographer, you know, anything really. You know, you don't have to, there's no major brief, I don't think. Yeah, so that can be organizations and photographers as well.
Yeah. Like it's about, yeah, Phrame is about, as I keep on saying, Phrame is about people, and therefore within photography is the issues that affect people and what people want to talk about. So whether there is disability within the arts, we're already made contact with various organisations, and we're hoping to partner with Disability Arts Cymru, for example, in future content, but also you know, within our group we have people who identify as having maybe mental health issues or certain disabilities, who want to talk about racism within photography, but also representation. This awkwardness is basically because people aren't confident about talking about some of these issues, and again acknowledging that maybe that we aren't confident, and maybe that we aren't sure, and maybe that whilst we acknowledge that there's a conversation that needs to be had, it's not quite sure how to go about it.
Yeah.
Just being honest about that, and but equally very much committed to the fact that you do what you can until you know better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, we're not going to get it perfect. No one can get it perfectly right from the beginning. No one knows the right answer to everything.
No, and again, because it's community and it's a dialogue, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
changes at such a rate. Um,
We're always growing and learning and
yeah,
developing.
yeah, definitely. I think things, yeah, that it's like it's. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but at the moment, it feels like the world's changing on a daily basis, which of course it is generally. But you know, like the ground is shifting so much.
Yeah, no, yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, I think yeah, we just need to give each other the support and the security to have those conversations and not feel inhibited by it or um,
Yeah.
concerned by it.
Um,
What would you want to see? What do you want to achieve out of this?
um, People knowing who we are, what we stand for, people looking at it and going, I would like to get involved.
Yeah,
um, People maybe wanting to use the platform as well, because obviously that's what it's for, other people to grow.
yeah.
So that would be rewarding. Um,
So yeah. So basically, the edits in this conversation will not be subtle. But again, we are learning, and
yeah.
I hope Lorna and I have shown you that we are open and wanting to connect, and uh, not just us, obviously Frame as well
Yeah,
as a network.
definitely.
That sounds very kind of like it's just us two. It's not. But yeah, we want to connect. We care about what you care about, basically,
Yeah, that's
isn't
a
it?
very good way of putting it. Yeah.
And if we can create a platform or um, have this space function in a way where these discussions can happen to for different people, then you know we are 100% committed to it. But equally, it's a learning process. We're all volunteers. That's an important thing to say as well. We're all giving our time to this voluntarily. Um, but yeah, it's important and it matters, and therefore we want to see it happen, and we want to affect the change that needs to happen, if that makes sense. So yeah, get in contact with the following details.
Yeah, give us a shout.
Yeah. How's best to contact us? Is it over social media, or but do you reckon by email, Lorna?
Yeah, social media. I think our email address. Wait, is it on the Instagram?
I'm not sure. Our email address is framecollective@gmail.com,
Mm-hmm.
but our social media handles are at Frame Wales, aren't they?
Frameworks for everything, I believe.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. It's just things like that. So, but yeah, come talk to us, come play. And thank you very much for listening and bearing with to the
Thank
end.
you.